Now, White Pine County Daily News with Wyatt Cox.
KELY News, sponsored by Sahara Motors, the Kawasaki KX450, built out of the box with everything you need to dominate the track. Check it out today at Sahara Motors and let the good times roll. We're expecting a few clouds today, mostly fair skies. Maybe an isolated afternoon thunderstorm again today. Look for the high around 92. Triple-digit temperatures could return to Ely this weekend. The forecast calling for highs near the century mark. If we do reach 100 degrees out at Yellenfield, it would mark the first time the city has hit triple digits, well, almost 2 years. July 11th, 2024, when the official high at Yellenfield hit 100 degrees. Ely's high elevation, about 6,400 feet. Of course, some parts are much higher. Help keep extreme heat events relatively uncommon compared with much of the rest of the Silver State. Since official weather records began in the late 1800s, Ely's only hit 100 or higher just a handful of times. City hit a 100-degree day in 2023 on July 16th. Ely's all-time record high was reached twice back in 1998, July 18th, 1998, again on July 12th, 2002, 101 degrees. In fact, 2002, the hottest year on record for Ely when it comes to triple-digit heat, just 2 days reaching 100 degrees or higher in 2002. Even with Nevada's reputation for summer heat, we usually keep extreme temperatures rare. Well, extreme high temperatures rare. But out at Cave Lake, you can get out there and get a break. White Pine County Commission meets tomorrow morning at 9 in the library conference room. Agenda items will include county officials getting updates from the health officer and local fire chiefs on fire district operations and wildfire preparedness. Commissioners will also consider submitting comments on proposed BLM grazing regulations before a July 13th deadline. Commission expected to discuss accepting ownership of the old Lund School property at no cost from the White Pine County School District and consider supporting a nearly $500,000 parking lot improvement project on the Kinnear Library in McGill. Other agenda items include several grant awards for emergency management, social services, specialty courts, and approval of a temporary management assignment for the golf course. The meeting will be broadcast live here tomorrow morning on KELY beginning at 9. Ely City Council meets Thursday evening. Several major funding and community development items on the agenda. Council members will consider transferring the city's 2026 private activity bond allocation to Nevada Rural Housing Authority, and they'll decide who will represent Ely at this year's Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities conferences. The Council will also receive updates on efforts to secure additional state and federal funding and hear a quarterly report from the White Pine Chamber of Commerce. Other items include accepting a $603,000 community development block grant for upgrades to the city's wastewater treatment plant and consider an abatement order to remove trash and debris from 2 properties on Fay Avenue. A meeting at 5 o'clock Thursday evening at the Volunteer Fire Hall. Sheriff's Office was busy on Sunday. Several calls involving juveniles, 2 juveniles detained after a traffic stop for a minor in possession of alcohol. The driver also cited for driving without a license and failing to stop at a stop sign. Both released to their parents, and the case referred to juvenile probation. Deputies also arrested 36-year-old Vincent Murata of Elko after locating a stolen vehicle entering White Pine County. He faces charges including possession of a stolen vehicle, evading law enforcement, reckless driving, driving on a suspended license, and resisting an officer. Other calls included a cow blocking a state highway, welfare check, stranded motorists, juveniles riding dirt bikes on a county road, and an intoxicated pedestrian who was safely picked up by a family friend. Down in Lincoln County, firefighters continue making steady progress on 2 wildfires down there. The Grapevine Fire, 95% contained, 26,500 acres burned, with crews now focused on patrols and repairing fire lines. Parsnip Peak Fire northwest of Pioche, holding at 2,264 acres. It's 65% contained. Firefighters continue mopping up hot spots and strengthening containment lines around the fire's perimeter as suppression efforts move into the next phase. In other news from the state, Nevada's rural utilities bracing for major changes as Lake Mead continues to fall, threatening hydropower production at Hoover Dam. Jennifer Solis at the Nevada Current quotes federal projections showing the lake could drop below 1,035 feet within the next year. That would cut dam output by about 70% as older turbines shut down. That according to the Bureau of Reclamation. Now that drop would sharply reduce low-cost electricity for providers like the Lincoln County Power District and the Overton Power District, which rely heavily on Hoover Dam power. Officials say utilities are also locking in higher-cost market electricity and expanding solar as federal and state leaders, including Senators Catherine Cortez Masto and Congresswoman Susie Lee, push new investments to stabilize dam operations. Hydropower from the Hoover Dam could see steep reductions if the droughts persist. Only 2 statewide ballot questions on the upcoming general election ballot. Question 6 asks voters whether to add abortion protections to the Nevada Constitution, while question 7 would require voter identification for in-person voting and new ID verification requirements for mail ballots. Both measures pass their first required vote in 2024, must be approved again this November to become constitutional amendments. 8:20 for Sahara Motors. That's news from White Pine County and the state of Nevada.
You see lots of commercials on television telling you to drive a little and save a lot. Dealers wanting you to drive to Salt Lake, Elko, Reno, and even Las Vegas. But ask them one question. What happens if there's a problem? Do you have to drive 3, 4, or even 6 hours to get service? Here at Sahara Motors in Ely, we service everything we sell right here in White Pine County. Shop here first, get our best deal, and you get that best deal by telling Shauna that Wyatt sent you by. Then if you want, shop other places. When you account for the drive, you'll find that it pays you to be a part of the Sahara Motors family. Stop by Sahara Motors, just about a mile north of Ely on US 93. Sahara Motors, we are White Pine proud.
Tell Shauna Wyatt sent you by.